over the 4th of July weekend, America endured one of the worst tragedies that we've experienced in a while, the flooding along the Guadalupe River that has killed numbers of people, a lot of them being small children that were just going to church camp. So how can God be good if he allows this suffering to happen? And in order to answer that question, we have to tackle 3 lies that the devil wants us to believe at a time like this. The first lie that we have to deal with, that the enemy wants us to believe, is that if we can understand it, we can feel better about it. The Apostle Paul talks about this peace that surpasses understanding. And the question, how can God be good if he allows suffering, is founded on this lie that if we can just understand it, if we can wrap our heads around the why these children died in this massive flood, or why hurricanes and tornadoes and tragedies and death, if we can understand the why behind it, then we will be what? It'll fix everything. And the truth is, that is not the case at all. Case in point, if you go to the doctor's office and you have terminal cancer, they can identify what kind of cancer it is. They can tell you the treatment plans that are not going to work because you're stage 4. You can understand all of the biology behind it, but can it actually fix your health? It can't. If your loved one has been murdered brutally, and you understand who the perpetrator is, you understand how their life was taken, you understand all the facts about the case, does that bring you peace? Is the situation fixed? It's not. And so the Apostle Paul, he talks about this peace that is better than understanding. And maybe not necessarily better, but it's more comforting than just understanding something, right? And so understanding doesn't. And so we think about a tragedy like this, suffering. When we ask that question, you have to be upfront with yourself and realize that understanding tragedy is not going to fix your tragedy. It's not going to fix your broken heart. But what is the only way that we can do that, right? Not through understanding, but by knowing that there is a God who did what? Who sent his son Jesus to die on the cross so that we could go to heaven. Now, a great segue after understanding is that in a tragedy like this, with such young lives that are lost, we wonder, does God care? Because once we understand the brutal facts about a natural disaster, a crime, a tragedy, whatever it may be, once we understand those facts, it makes us jump directly to God must not care. But today I tell you that is a lie from the devil. And why is that a lie from the devil? Because we have to go back to the scene of the crime in the book of Genesis. If you will notice, God created everything. He said that it was good. It was paradise. And then Adam and Eve did what? They sinned. They rebelled against God. And in that very moment, you will notice, if you go back to the book of Genesis, that God gives them the consequences of their sin and explains that nature is broken because of their sin. The world will no longer be the same. That the weeds, the natural disasters, that the things that are in nature that should not be there, they are there because of sin. And that what? Most importantly, that at that moment, death entered into the world. I don't want you to miss this. Death is not God's signature. Death was not created by God. Death was something that was brought into the world by sin. So when we look at a natural disaster, a heinous crime, tragedy on our lives, and we want to blame God for death, we have to understand that is not God's doing. That is not something that God's created. Death wasn't from God. But on top of that, when we say God doesn't care, we have to remember that we do not have a high priest who can't empathize with us, but God did what? He knew about the floods. He knew about the hurricanes. He knew about the earthquakes. He knew about the loss of life. And you know what God did? He sent down his one and only son to be murdered, crucified, broken, destroyed, and rise again the third day, so that what? Though this earth may feel like hell, and we know it's broken, God has what? Made a way for heaven to be possible for you and me. That even though we may have to deal with floods, death, earthquakes, fires, whatever it may be, that what? That is not the end of the story, but that heaven is on the other side. And we know that God cares because what? He gave up his only son. So he killed and sacrificed son Jesus so we could have heaven. So does he care? He absolutely, absolutely cares. So we have to understand that understanding it won't fix it. But also, we can't believe that God doesn't care because he absolutely cares. But also, most importantly, we have to understand with events like this isn't the way that it was supposed to be. It is not natural. The Apostle Paul, I love the way he puts it in the book of Romans, talking about all of creation groans for the solution of the redemption in a new world through Jesus Christ. Because at that moment in the beginning of the world, guess what happened? The earth was broken. The earth was shattered. And now we have what? Nature that is dealing with the effects of sin. We have death. We have earthquakes. We have natural disasters like floods. This isn't the way it was supposed to be. So if God didn't author it, if God cares, and if we don't have to worry about the why because understanding is not going to help, then we can realize that God is absolutely who he says he is. Because he not only gave us a sermon, a Hallmark card, what did he do? He gave us the blood of his only son, Jesus Christ, so that we can be forgiven. And the good thing is that God's not afraid of your tears. He's not afraid of my tears. He's not afraid of our hard questions, our doubts, our worries, our concerns. He's not afraid of our insults. I mean, just read the book of Psalms. There's some hard stuff in there that people had conversations with God about. And he's not afraid of that. And he can sustain our questions if we will continue on with him. So thank God. Thank God that God cared enough to what? To give us heaven, even though we have to live in this sinful world. Thank God that death isn't from the Lord, it's from the devil. It's from sin. And thank God that, we may not understand it, but that's also not what's going to fix it. Jesus and our relationship with God, that's what's going to get us through. So thank you and have a good week.